My name is Brandon Willington, and in this video I'm going to be breaking down the numbers that actually generate you more leads, because if you're a service-based business owner trying to generate your own leads, you probably logged into the ads manager interface, whether it was Google, whether it was Meta, you looked at all these three-letter acronyms, you looked at all the numbers, you're like, F this, and then your knee-jerk reaction was delegated to some agency that doesn't give a about your business. So at the end of this video, you're going to understand what all these numbers mean. Not actually, you know what, I'm going to be clear. Not all of the numbers, because not all of the numbers matter. There's only a very small handful of numbers that actually matter to you, the business owner. And so I'm going to be covering those. I'm going to be showing how to calculate them, what they mean, what's a good number, what's a bad number, and how to improve them. So if you've ever heard me speak about digital advertising before, there's only three things that you need as a service-based business owner to generate qualified leads online. First thing is an ad that gets clicked by the right person, not just anyone. We need to be getting qualified, committed clicks. They're going to get sent to a landing page that gets conversions. So we need a landing page with a balance between physical and psychological resistance, something I might talk about later, so we can turn that click into a qualified lead. And then, because we're a service-based business, we're not some e-commerce dropshipping dork that doesn't speak to anyone because they don't have any social skills and they live in their mum's basement because they can't actually afford rent with all their profit margins after dropshipping something off Alibaba in their Facebook account. We need a conversation with that lead that actually closes them, right? If we have an ad that gets clicked by the right person, we send them to a landing page that converts someone to a qualified lead, and then we have a conversational process that closes them. We make money on the other end. Now, let's say we get clicks for $1, right? Let's say we get clicks for $1. Then they get sent to a landing page, and the number of people that convert is, let's say, 10%. So you would have heard conversion rate before on your landing page. That's just simply put, out of all the people that hit our landing page, on average, what percentage of people that go to this landing page do the thing that we want them to do and become a qualified lead, so putting their contact details in or something like that. Now, let's do some simple math. Let's say we get clicks for $1 and only 10% of the people that click it become a qualified lead. What does that mean our cost per lead is? It means our cost per lead is $10. Right? Because we have to send 10 of these $1 clicks to this landing page to get a $10 cost per lead. Now, let's say of those leads, we get a 10% close rate. So 10% of those leads that we paid $10 for purchase our thing. That means we are getting a cost per acquisition of $100, right? So if I was to label these, this $1 over here, this would be CPC. This would be conversion rate. This $10 here, this would be, I'm going to put it CPL, that means cost per lead. This 10% here, I'm going to label this as close rate. And this $100 over here, this is our CPA. Now this is great because now we know that every $100 we spend on ads, someone's buying something. Now, let's say the thing that we're actually selling is $1,000. Well, if we spend $100 to get a $1,000 purchase, then 1,000 divided by 100 equals 10. This is referred to as our return on ad spend, which means every $1 that we put in here turns into $10 over here. Now, let's say that we weren't happy with this 10x return on ad spend. Let's say we continued to get a $1 CPC. But let's say we go from getting a 10% conversion rate to we lower physical or psychological resistance, and now we get a 20% conversion rate. Well, that means our cost per lead is now $5. Let's say we don't even touch the close rate. We still get a 10% close rate. That means that we're getting a $50 CPA. Now, if we're still selling something for $1,000, our cost per acquisition is now $50. We still sell something for $1,000. That means 1,000 divided by 50 equals 20x return on ad spend. And all that we've done is we've bumped this conversion rate here and we've bumped it to 20%. We didn't spend any more money on ads, but now every dollar that we put into it, we're getting 20 bucks back out. So those are the key metrics here. We have CPC, we have conversion rate. As a result of those, we have cost per lead, and then we have close rate, and then we have cost per acquisition. As a result of that, we can calculate our return on ad spend. Now, it's very important that you know these numbers, because once you identify these numbers, you can find these little opportunities to hone in on a number and go, all right, well, what changes could I make to give myself a slight edge here, right? The example that I gave, which was, to be honest as well, pretty drastic, going from a 10% conversion rate to a 20% conversion rate. Well, we know, hey, maybe my landing page needs some work. I need a lower physical or psychological resistance. Let's talk about a couple of the ways which we can influence these numbers. Let's talk about CPC first. Now, I'm going to talk about CPC in terms of Meta, right? Now, Meta is a pay per impression platform. That means, unlike Google, where you only get charged when they click the ad, on Meta, every single time that your ad gets seen, you get charged for it. Now, the key metric here is CPM. CPM stands for cost per milli. It's basically how many dollars do I need to spend to get my ad seen 1,000 times. Now, this metric can go up and down based on a number of different factors. So let's say, for example, it's essentially supply and demand, which is the supply of like how many other people, I'll just put ads, how many like advertisers are trying to get in front of the limited eyeballs which you're trying to target. So let's say, for example, I'm trying to target business owners. My CPM here in Australia typically hovers between $60 and $70, right? So I need to spend $60 to $70 to get my ad seen 1,000 times. However, if you have very broad targeting, let's just say you're just targeting anyone in Australia in a certain age bracket, your cost per, your CPM is probably going to be lower, right? Because it's just got more people to choose from and it wants to get you a low result. And so the ideal way to, there's a couple of different ways to reduce your CPM. One is like more broad targeting. Secondly is creative diversity, which in a post-Andromeda world, if you aren't familiar with what Andromeda is, God forbid. But essentially what Meta rewards now is creative diversity. And so if you don't give the algorithm enough options to choose from, you'll get, in terms of ads to serve to people, you're going to get penalized with higher CPMs. It will look at your creative, the landing page as well. Like there was a rumor going around for a while that ClickFunnels landing pages got penalized with higher CPMs. What industry you're in and who you're trying to target as well is obviously the main factor. Like if you're trying to target people interested in like property and like real estate and investment opportunities, and all your ad talks about is real estate and property and investment opportunities, you'll get like a $200 fucking CPM just because you're competing with every other property and investment fucking agency that's popped up in Australia at the moment. However, you don't have a whole lot of influence over your CPM, not a whole lot. The thing that you have the most power over is your link click-through rate. So simply, you pay the same amount to get seen by 1,000 times, but if you get 2% of people to click your ad instead of 1% of people to just click your ad, or I should be clear, click the link for your ad, you'll achieve the same effect which I outlined before in terms of your conversion rate, going from a 10% conversion rate to a 20% conversion rate. We aren't spending any more money on ads. We're just utilizing, let me be careful with my words, more efficiently utilizing the number of people that our ads do get shown to, right? And so in terms of influencing your link click-through rate, the key thing truly is the hook, right? I'll put link CTR. And the reason why the hook is so important is I like saying that we're in a attention recession. We're also in a trust recession. We'll get into that later, but an attention recession. So previously, I always like asking this in our With You workshops, which by the way, there'll be a link to apply for it below. But often when I ask people, what do you think is the average view duration on social media? We'll get a lot of people that have a lot of faith in the human race. They'll say like 5 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds. Some people will get close and they'll say 3 seconds. It's wrong. It's actually 1.8 seconds, which is already short, and it's considerably shorter when you realize the fact that it is the average, which means 50% of people are watching less than 1.8 seconds. I don't anticipate this getting any better. And so you need to be very clear in the very first sentence of your ad, because even if your ad is, let's say, 7 sentences, they just can't be reading past the first sentence. And so if your ad, back on the iPad again now, if your ad is structured like this, a couple different lines of text in 4th grade English, and you've got this see more button about here, what actually happens is they only read this line, this line, this line, and you have this much real estate to get 80% of your message across, because 95% of people aren't going to bother clicking see more to reveal the rest of the ad, to see what's in it for them, to make sure they're the right person. And so we have to do a few things in this first ad. And we go through this with our members in our With You program. Firstly, we need to pique curiosity. There's a number of different ways that you can do that. We need pattern disruption. We need to address or challenge existing beliefs. The second thing we have to do is we need to drive a more committed than a curious ad. So let me touch on this point first. There's often, and I'm kind of jumping around a bit here, but kind of by the nature of advertising, you kind of have to do this. There's kind of this inverse relationship between link CTR and conversion rate, right? So let's say we get a really, really high link click-through rate, right? So this is up. Typically what will happen is our conversions will go down, right? Because if we just get anyone to click and we get like a 5% link click-through rate, a lot of the people that get sent to the landing page, it won't meet their expectations. They'll be expecting some kind of free education, and they'll be more curious than committed, right? So if we get more curious link clicks, yeah, we'll get lots of link clicks, but it will be at the detriment to the conversion rate of the landing page. Now, on the other side, if we make link click-through rate go down, right? We add a lot of friction. We make it clear like, hey, you had to pay money to do this and work with us to do this. Our link click-through rate will go down, but our conversion rate of the people that do click through will go up. And so the art is, I always say advertising is an art versus a science, right? The art is within the law and the policies, the advertising platform that you're on. You can do or say whatever the you want. The science is how do we measure that with a number. The art comes in balancing committed and curious language in the first sentence of this ad, so that we can find a balance between lots of people clicking and lots of people converting, not no people clicking and lots of people converting, and not too many people clicking and no people converting, right? It's this fine balance, and very, very small changes in the language of just your first sentence can heavily influence this. Like I'm literally I'm without exaggeration, a 100% strike rate in our With You members. So in the With You program, you get there's 5 advisory calls on Zoom a day where you can share your screen with me, the whole team. You basically can't go 2 business hours without being able to talk to one of us directly on Zoom, share your screen with us, and have us remote control your mouse. And because there's so many calls, there's usually only 5 people on, right? And I'm literally a 100% strike rate with reading someone's curious hook. Or actually, no, let me tell you exactly how the conversation will go. They'll come onto the call, they go, hey Brandon, getting lots of clicks but no conversions. I won't even look at the landing page because they would have built it based off of our landing page templates. It's probably fine. I'll go, yeah, cool, show me the ad that's getting the most traffic and just show me the first line of the ad. And they'll have a very curious hook. And so I'll go, oh, just add these 2 words to it. And then they'll come back the next week and they're like, yeah, my conversions just went through the roof. Happens all the time, right? So anyway, that was a long explanation to say that we need a ad hook, which is more committed than curious, or at least finding the balance. And then the third thing that we need to do Still, by the way, in this very first sentence, filter for the right kind of person. Now, this is going to vary from business to business. More often than not, what it is for a lot of our With You members is like financially, it will be some degree of financial qualification. So if you're like an online fitness coach, you get a bunch of brokies on Centrelink coming through, you need to add language that implies or even explicitly states that, yep, this thing costs money and you should probably have a job before you click this ad. So that all the Centrelink brokies look at it and go, oh, what? I'll just not click it. Now, to be clear, another like philosophy that I have at marketing is dials, not switches. So what I mean by that is adding this language change doesn't immediately turn off brokies coming through your funnel, but it turns them down. We don't deal in absolutes here. You don't get a 0% click-through rate or a 100% click-through rate. We are trying to dial things up and down a little bit. If we were to look back to this entire model over here, these are all just different dials that we can influence. If we let's say, for example, we dial link click-through rate all the way up, well, it's going to be at the detriment to conversion rate, and then definitely at the detriment to at the close rate, right? Whereas if we can like dial these in and find this balance and this odd digital harmony between cost per lead, cost per click, show rates, all this then that's the science, right? The art is like fiddling with everything, and then the science is fixing it, right? But we need to add filters. Like the most common ones, like financial qualification. Sometimes it will be like what industry that people are in. So all in this very first sentence alone, we need to get someone curious. We need to find this balance between committed and curious clicks, not to be confused with peak curiosity. And we also need to filter for the right person so that less of the wrong people click. Another useful mindset for advertising is you'll never be 100% correct all of the time, right? What you're trying to do is be wrong less, right? That's like how I'll get people comment on my ad saying, I'm not your ideal customer. Like, why am I seeing this ad? I'm like, cool. I don't care about you. I care about all the other people. We can't, like, there's not a targeting option in Meta Ads Manager that's people that want to learn how to do their own digital advertising and want to do it with this guy that swears at them on Instagram. Unfortunately, that's just not a targeting option. It could have been back in 2017 when none of you had any privacy and Facebook ads was truly the most overpowered psyop tool on earth. So incredible, it influenced entire elections for the greatest superpower with the most formidable military force on earth. Stop laughing at it. But now you all want cookie privacy and shit like that, so it's all broad targeting. Me, I missed 2017. It was sick. Like if a Facebook page had 40,000 likes, you could just like target your competitors. Truly overpowered. Alien technology when it comes to predicting human behavior on the internet. But you all want cookie privacy, and so it's gone. I hope you're happy. As much as I'd like to talk about 2017 advertising, let's talk about conversion rates, right? How do we get more of the people that click our ad to click, right? So let's say someone's clicked your ad, right? We've done this thing. Now they've gone to a landing page. Now they have gone to a landing page. If we zoom in, depending on what device you're viewing on, there's what you're probably familiar with, which is above the fold and below the fold. So this dotted line is the fold. It would mean that this section up here is immediately visible as soon as they click the ad, and they need to scroll to reveal the rest of it. Very similar to how over here, this first sentence, which is 100% visible to everyone that views the ad, 100% of people are viewing the section that's above the fold. And so this is our highest leverage opportunity to influence what they're going to do, right? So a couple things need to happen as soon as they click the ad. Firstly, we need to confirm that they're in the right place. I like saying that the ad makes the promise that the landing page must fulfill, right? So if I read this ad, well, actually not even this ad. If I read the first sentence of this ad and then I read this headline here, does that meet my expectations? Give you a bad example. Let's say I click an ad for garage door installations, and then I go to a website homepage which is about home improvement. Close, but people are retarded. They just won't make the connection between maybe there's a menu over there and then the garage, I can click that, right? What would be a better example is clicking an ad for garage door installations, and then the phrase garage door installations is somewhere clear explicitly in the headline so that it meets their expectations. Another thing is you're gonna have a contact form, right? Now, often what happens is you people have too much faith in humanity. And so you assume incorrectly that they'll scroll all the way down here for that shit. Some of you put your this thing, you'll put your contact forms all the way down there, right? What the did I just say? 100% of people see this, and then like all people are even gonna scroll down there, right? And so you wanna give yourself the best chances to be wrong less. So just take this form and put it here, right? I'll give you another example actually of how little faith I have in the human race. So this form is going to be here, right? If you put, I swear to God, just like next step, like answer a few questions or like complete this form. If you put that there, it will convert to a certain degree. If you, and I'm not exaggerating here, if you just delete this, less people will complete the form. So let's say you have a landing page and you have the form, and above the form it says next step, answer a few questions to start your cost estimate. And then it converts at 5%. I swear to God, if you just delete next step, answer a few questions to start your cost estimate, it will probably convert at 2%. Right? Which if you do the math back over here, like an impact on your close rate, or you have the volume of deals you have and your return on ad spend, if you go from converting 5% to even 2.5%, it literally cuts your business in half. And so if you just tell them to complete the form, it will probably double your business over a long enough period of time. Let me know in the next 30 days, come back in the comments and tell me I made you more money. Just tell them to complete the form. Their brain is also doing a couple other scans as they're like on this page, right? They want to know in like 1.8 seconds, they need to consume enough reasons to complete this form. And you have a number of different opportunities to construct a solid debate. You want to think of marketing and advertising and lead generation very similar to debating, right? So when Aiden was rocking up, I have a philosophy tutor, and part of philosophy is like critical thinking. And so he's also a debating coach. And so like a solid debate argument doesn't just have one premise or one reason, it has multiple premises lined up which support each other. And your landing page is very similar. You have limited real estate and time to construct a solid debate for them giving you their contact details. And so your first opportunity to create a reason is the headline. The second opportunity to create a reason is the subheadline. The next thing is like the call to action above the form. So simply telling them complete the form. Another reason which they're probably thinking of is, I don't trust you. I just saw you in this ad. And so the video sales letter, I always abbreviate that to VSL for short if I've referred to that later in this video, is I don't know if you're real. I don't know if this business is real. I don't know if you're just like a scam, right? And so the video sales letter gives you a lot of opportunity to do that. Now, the brain will go, what do you do? What do you want me to do? And then, can I trust you / am I a guinea pig? And so the video sales letters there as well. And then also your Google reviews or testimonials or case studies. But then also as they're looking at them, they're also arguing against you and going, are these real, right? So if you type out your testimonials in rich text, you have a weak premise because they can look at that and go, you just typed that out in your website, right? Even if they're 100% true. So you need to like embed these Google reviews, or even if you have video reviews, they're thinking like, are these people even real? The number of our With You members that like, so our With You members will in our video testimonials, the number of people that will like reach out to them and like find them on Instagram or like LinkedIn and message them and say, hey, like I saw you gave a testimonial for With You, like do you still feel this way about it, is like truly phenomenal. Like I do a lot of business coaching programs as well, and so like I do like the Entourage and like Get Scaled and Peter Lakovich from Convert Club, and I'll be in their video testimonials and I'll get people messaging or emailing me saying, hey, like, what did you think about this? And I'm like, did you not watch the video? I think exactly what I said right then. You know what I mean? And so we need to construct these reasons. Another really interesting split test we're finding recently, and I attribute this to what I was talking about before with this attention recession, is we used to put our FAQs, and you probably do as well, we used to put FAQs pretty far down on the page, and they'd usually be like 1, 2, 3, or 4. We're finding greater success with a lot of our With You members sliding the FAQs further up on the landing page, so that the brain goes, this is a macro level what you do, this is what you want me to do, looks like I can trust you, but there's just like one little premise they haven't constructed in their head. And so the FAQs are kind of like a rapid fire opportunity for you to construct enough reasons for them to complete the form. Right? And a lot of you skimp out on your FAQs way too much. You put like 4 FAQs in there. You need what is every single reason or question they could possibly think of, and just put it there. Because if we want to lower psychological resistance, we go into their head and go, what's every single thing that you're thinking that could potentially prevent you from trusting us enough to put your contact details into this form? Right? The easiest source for these FAQs is your sales process. Now, just what are all the little questions that people ask you on the call, just to verify or validate that this is a good idea? Like, how does this work? How much time will it take? How much time will it take from me? Are you guys a scam? Are your staff onshore? Do you have a fucking physical location? Like all of these things, so that as they're scanning through your landing page, or their fucking barely illiterate TikTok brain, and it is rotting on the internet, they can see, oh, I'm thinking that one in this list, and then press it and go, you know, I'm thinking this tiny question, and then there's a very short sentence which just addresses it. And if you watch their behavior on a landing page analysis recording tool like Microsoft Clarity, you'll see their behavior is they like scroll, they look, and then they see the FAQs, they just type like 1 or 2 and they go, oh, okay, cool. And they go back to the form, and then they complete it. I'll give you one tip that I don't want to turn this into a sales training video, and Aiden's told me we've gone for 32 minutes already. And so if I start talking about sales, it's going to go way too long, but I will give you one. And honestly, if you just do this at all, it will double the business. So the key thing with your close rate, and I'm going to write this in big letters, is just time. I'll give you a perfect example. So a lot of our With You members got enrolled by Jake. Jake's 22. He's our youngest sales rep. He started when he was 21 with us. And I share this in the With You workshops as well when we teach sales on day 2. So Jake was selling for like a DJ course, and then he wanted to work with us. I was kind of like mentoring him a little bit, and then he goes, hey Brandon, like I want to work in sales for you. I don't know if I'm too green for this. So I was like, yeah, like I'll do a call with you. So did the mock run with him. I'm like, look, you're obviously like very green, but you clearly studied like Tim's call recordings very hard for this. You've got a good working attitude. I go, how about this? 45% of the people that are qualified to work with us just don't book in a call. How about I just give you those leads? He goes, sure. And I went, cool, here's how I'm going to do it. Let me know if you still want to do it. When someone starts an application with us, I'm going to like set a timer in our workflow for like 5 or 10 minutes, 5 minutes. If they don't book a call in 5 minutes and book into our team's calendar, I'm going to set up an automation that just rings you. And it goes, hey, Jake, connecting you to Aiden. He's in the media and videography industry. Good luck. And then it's going to call Aiden. And then you're just going to try and either set an appointment with them or sell them. Do you still want to do it? He goes, yeah. So Jake's phone was just ringing like 50 times a day. Because the other thing as well is if they didn't pick up the first call, it would automatically wait another 5 minutes, then just ring Jake again. All Jake did
was call them within 5 minutes, and he closed 55%. Literally all he did was he was just first to call them and then got them when their interest was high. And he closed 55%. And if you're wondering, oh, Brandon, what was the script you gave him? My script was, I don't have time to train you, Jake. Work it out. He literally, like, I swear to God, like precisely 0 training. I was like, it will call you and then talk to them and see if they want to buy it. That was it. But the reason I actually got this was, I think while Mosey posted, I think it was a reel where he was talking about one of his mates had like a renovation company, and I think he hired his aunt or something like that. And his aunt's only job was like, gosh, she paid like 70 or 80K a year, but their only job was like, just call them within like 60 seconds, and she closed like 70% or something like that. But anyway, take with that what you will. If you're interested in applying for the Withy program, breaking up with your lead gen agency, never having to rely on word of mouth or someone else to put food on the table and keep the lights on, there'll be a link in the description. I'll see you on a workshop soon.